Hey, I'm Maddie Campbell, and welcome to this episode of The Sunshine Hour, a podcast dedicated to shining light on emergent musicians and artists. In this episode, I talked to Hotel Fiction, the dreamy rock duo from Athens, Georgia, comprised of Jade Long and Jessica Thompson. After discussing how they chose a band name and found their sound, we delve into the tracks of their debut album, Soft Focus. We also talk about the elusiveness of inspiration, taking care of yourself on tour, and what is next for the duo that defies stereotypical pop sounds with classic rock inspiration and lyrics that are profoundly human. Now, let's get into the episode. Hi. Welcome to the Sunshine Hour. I am so glad to see you guys. For everyone who can't see their lovely faces, we're talking to Hotel Fiction today, Jade Long and Jessica Thompson. I am so glad to have you guys here today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're happy to talk to you.
This is so fun. So y'all are based out of Athens, which is super hilarious because one of my best friends grew up in Athens.
Aww. No way!
Yeah. So I told her, I was like, oh yeah, I'm interviewing this band out of Athens. She goes, oh, what band? She looks it up and she goes, oh yeah, a bunch of my friends follow them on Instagram. I'm just like,
that's crazy.
The world this small.
Where do you live?
So I am in the lovely town of Cape Coral, Florida right now. Not lovely at all. I actually found you all off of your manager on TikTok.
Carla!
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. I follow Carla's TikTok and she like posted a day in the life with her band and I was like, oh, they look really cool. So then I found your Instagram and then I was like, okay, this is great.
We love Carla so much. If you get a chance to interview her, she's worth a total other interview. She's like so fun to talk to and love talking to her. Has so much wisdom. So
we talked about it because I said this isn't just for musicians, it's for the music industry people. Because that's what my radio show is about. It's about music industry, not just music. So I'm
really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
And so I have like a whole bunch of questions for you. Let's get started. We're going to talk about Soft Focus. We're going to talk about Tommy Trotwin, if I'm saying that wrong. I'm so sorry. We're going to talk about tour because y'all have been everywhere.
We have been.
Yeah. So let's get into it. So you two met your sophomore year at UGA.
We did.
Yeah. Oh, I deep research.
You've done your research.
No, you know your stuff.
I just want to say those are like our favorite interviews when people know a little bit about us beforehand and like I don't know, I just love the questions that come out of that. So it really means like so much to us that you looked into all that.
I'm gonna share my screen with you really fast because I think it's really funny. Oh wait, hold on.
The worst interviews are when they're like, so music, tell us about it. What it means to you? And we're like, do you know who anything is? Like, what anything about us?
Yeah, I've been prepping all day. So I have your Instagram. I have, you won't see it, but I have this interview with Atwood Magazine. I have the concert review. I have the flagpole interview. And I have the red and black interview.
Wow. We're such babies there.
We are.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God.
Love.
So, yeah, I have been prepping.
Dang. Well, that means a lot.
Yeah. Yes. So, my big question is, like, I think the way that you two started is so funny to me. Like, you were introduced by a mutual friend. You started doing jam sessions. How did you realize, like, the relationship that you two had would go from jam sessions to a band with a song with currently over 1 million streams? Like, how did that happen?
I don't think we did realize it.
I don't think we realized it at all.
Honestly, like, every step of making our band was like, oh my God, I never realized this would turn into us playing a show together. Oh my God, I never realized this would turn into us recording. Like, oh my God, I never realized we would, like, not get jobs after school and this would be our full-time thing.
It was kind of just like thing after thing was like a beautiful surprise that we could never have imagined. So,
and I'm hoping there's still things that we don't realize will happen. But I mean, from off the bat, we definitely vibed like musically and creatively really well. We both just have played music for such a long time that we were instantly able to like click. And that was the beginning of it all.
And then we were just like, we love this and never want to stop. So let's not ever stop.
Yeah. And it, like, I remember in college, there were some, like, at the time, really serious conversations of like, oh my gosh, are we gonna, like, we can't break up when we graduate, you know, we can't stop being a band, and we want to give as much time to this as like we've been giving in school, and like what's the answer there, and realizing that this thing we started would become like our continued job and also our favorite thing. Was really cool.
So cool. No, because like the kind of like faith that you have to have in another person to have a band, especially one that started in college, like that's a really beautiful thing.
It's true.
It's true, yeah.
Gotta have a lot of faith in this one, you know?
Yeah, I don't know why she put faith in it. She does.
Just kidding. But yeah, it's like, it's definitely we see a lot of people in bands. It's hard to tell, you know, from the outside, but like some bands operate as like best friends, and some bands operate as like, okay, this is our thing, but we're like, we have other best friends and this is like our working relationship, but we're very much like best friends, bandmates, just became roommates again 3 days ago. We just moved into a new place in Athens, and all of the things in between, which is really cool. And I feel like that also gives us the ability to put a lot of faith in each other.
Totally. It's like, she's like, you know, my bandmate, musical soulmate, but you know, also just like we're best friends too. So it's like all encompassing. We go to each other for everything, and it just feels like it would be weird if we didn't hang out every day or make music and do it with our future. So
you really answered my question. My next question is, what felt different about playing with each other? And I guess that is that.
It's true.
Yeah, well, I had never really played with anyone before, so I guess I just got lucky the first time that it went so well. But I guess I had tried to play with other people before, and it was just like, yeah, like, I don't know, our styles were different or like clashing, and it was fun, but it was like nothing really compared to like just like writing on my own and being in my own space with that. And so meeting Jess and finding someone that like really clicked well, and like that I was just like not afraid to like, I guess, show her into like that world and make our new world together. It was cool, magical.
Yeah, I feel like we both are good at like listening to each other and kind of like building off of each other's ideas, which is, I think, important. And yeah, I don't know. Also, like I had been in bands previously. I started when I was like 11 and made my own band, and it was just also like, it's a commitment thing too. Like that kind of fell off after high school because everyone was going to different schools and life was happening. So I'm glad that we stopped that life from happening after we graduated.
I'm so glad, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a very certain level of trust that you two have, because the songs that you write come from such a place of vulnerability. Being able to write those songs, and like I because I'm a songwriter myself, and I know that when someone tries to edit my words, I'm like, I'm gonna kill you. Mine, don't touch it. But
funny.
When it's multiple people, you have to be in a place of taking constructive criticism, especially when it's like such a personal thing to you.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah,
it's the same way too in like production, you know, like maybe we bring in a song that we think it's going to be a certain way, and our lovely producer Tommy is like, have you thought about it being like this entirely different way? And it's flipped on its head, and it's like getting used to that and being open to that, and like letting more people into the creative world is really cool. I think it like leads to a lot of good things, but it can also be uncomfortable because we all have like our ideas in our head or of what we think something should be, you know?
Yeah.
They're not always going to be the same as each other or as anyone. And so it's cool to kind of see how a song can change and be open to that and not be very stuck in your ways.
Y'all are making perfect transitions for me. Thank you. Because my next question is, you started working with Tommy after he approached you at one of your shows. How did like the jam session, we write songs together, change into Hotel Fiction after you started working with him?
Yeah, it was kind of like, I guess, when we first started recording Astronaut Kids, it was the first time we'd ever been in the studio. and was kind of creating like our sound. I feel like that whole first album, we kind of created certain unique things that kind of sound like us production wise and just also like musically. And then also like we came up with our band name that summer and worked on it for like 2 more years after that. But yeah, and then just also like working with a band for the first time and like just certain things that kind of became Hotel Fiction. Also just like coming up with the band name and kind of like the universe around it creatively, and like we loved space and I don't know, all this stuff that we just thought would be cool to kind of make it into something that felt like more than just a band in a way.
Yeah. I read part of it in one of your interviews, but I really want to know, how did Hotel Fiction become the name?
Well, we actually had a different band name before.
It's true.
This is not a very widely known thing.
Do tell.
Our first concert was not under Hotel Fiction. It was under Tomorrow Today. That was our band name.
Yeah.
And it was because we had to like, unfortunately, we got this fortunately, but we got this show and it was like with a really quick turnaround. We like we're filling in for this other band. It was so like last minute, and they were like, well, we need a band name to put there, and we're like, should we be Jade and Jess? Like, what should we be? And so we had to, it was something we wanted, you know, like your band name sticks with you forever. It becomes like your brand and what you put on every shirt, and you don't want to get sick of it, and it's on every poster, and you're calling us Hotel Fiction now, and it's on our Instagram, and it's like, we made that decision so quickly. We were like, once we recorded Astronaut Kids, like, let's take the summer and think it through, because we just kind of like threw this name at the wall.
Yeah. And it was kind of just like we had 2 months to come up with a name, because we had a show in the fall planned that we also had to have a name on the poster for the big show back. Debut name, what's it gonna be? We don't know. And so we both just kind of like wrote down a bunch of words we liked, and I had this like notes in my phone of just like hundreds and hundreds of like band name possibilities.
So if you ever need one.
Yeah, if you ever need one.
I will keep that in mind.
Needs one. I have a lot of options. And Soft Focus, Daydrifter were also band name possibilities, which became song names and song ideas, album names, which is very cool. We like needed it within like 2 days.
We're such procrastinators.
Yeah,
That's something about us.
And I was studying abroad at the time in Italy, and we were at this like wine bar, and I was like freaking out. I was like, I need a band name. And I just like gave my phone to my friend, and I was like, what's your favorite one out of like all of these hundreds of names? And then my friend was like, Hotel Fiction, like that's the one. And I sent it to Jess, and we freaked out about it. And we were like,
we
that's
just like
the one.
Texted it in all caps to each other. We were like, Hotel Fiction. Like just kept saying it over and over to see if it stuck.
Yeah.
I can hear people chanting that to get you out on stage. So it totally works.
Yeah, there we go.
Right level of consonants totally works.
Yeah, and I wanted something that was kind of like didn't mean anything, but still meant something. Like some of our favorite names are like Cage the Elephant or Portugal the Man. Like what the hell does that mean? I don't know.
It really leaves like the world open to like what anything even beyond our band could be with Hotel Fiction. Like it could be a universe, it could be the name of a hotel, it could be like a clothing brand, and I like that a lot, how it leaves a lot up for interpretation.
Absolutely.
We like come up with 2 like, I don't know, new meanings to us.
Yeah,
the name has continued on
more than it was, so that's cool too.
Like this tour, we were like nomads sleeping on, this whole year, honestly, we've been nomads sleeping on people's floors a lot and like in our parents' houses, and just haven't necessarily been living anywhere until recently. And I'm like, it's kind of like Hotel Fiction. We don't actually, it's like the fictional home that we have.
Our life.
Yeah.
But you're living the stuff of fiction, so it totally works.
Exactly. And our friend Carmen is like making a comic book about like the Hotel Fiction or like crime fighters or something. I don't know if it's gonna ever see the light of day, but
if it does, it would be really cool. So.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that.
So it's a story too, a fiction.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, I was lucky. I don't know if you know the YouTuber Best Dressed.
Yes.
Yeah. She posted on her Instagram like 2 or 3 years ago, she's in a thrift store, and it was a picture of a ceramic animal. And she goes, if I ever need a band name, I'm going to call it, if I have like an indie pop band, I'm going to call it Ceramic Animals. And I screenshotted it, have it on my phone to this day. I said, if I ever start a band, it will be Ceramic Animals.
Oh my God. Love that. I love it.
I know that it's a copycat of Glass Animals, but I don't care. I just think it's cool.
I didn't even think about that. Well, it's Glass Animals plural, so you could be ceramic animal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
So, your sound has been compared to Phoebe Bridgers, Soccer Mommy, and Julian Baker.
Wow.
What genre or musician do you draw your most inspiration from?
Old stuff.
Yeah, definitely like old classic rock.
Like the Beatles.
David Bowie.
Joni Mitchell.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Joni Mitchell.
But genre, I don't know, like if I see a stranger and I'm telling them about our life, I'm like, are we an indie rock band?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
I always say indie rock for every band that I interview on this because it covers just like so much.
Yeah. Indie pop doesn't feel like totally right because maybe like some of our songs are more pop, but then I feel like we make a lot of music that isn't necessarily straight pop or like the way it's produced.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So rock probably has the least connotations of anything else. Like you said, it just encompasses a lot.
Yeah, because I thought that was really funny. Every interview that I read uses the word pop at least 83 times throughout the article. And I was like, this is more alternative than you give it credit for.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just because it sounds dreamy does not make it some bubblegum pop song.
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
We definitely take like some indie pop like inspiration as well, but mainly in like not necessarily in writing, more in like production and other aspects, like you said. Kind of instrumentation.
And we take a lot of inspiration like lately for this album that we've been working on recently is kind of like classic indie rock, like Arcade Fire and like
The Killers,
The Strokes, just like rock.
So you, something I read, the Soft Focus was originally slated to be released around Halloween 2020. Now it's obvious to me why that didn't happen.
Yes.
Yeah, it did not happen, no.
Yeah. I just want to know how did that change the album at all? Like that 2-year gap?
Yeah, it
for sure.
It did. Yeah, it was honestly kind of nice because we were kind of probably not ready to release an album at that stage.
Yeah. Like, it had just kind of come together as like, oh my gosh, here we are. Like we have all these songs and we've recorded most of them. Like album.
It was we didn't have a cover for it, and that was kind of what I think put it on hold for so long, was just like figuring out the album art. And also we wanted to make vinyl, and like that kind of delayed the whole process, which we still don't have, but we're gonna have soon.
Vinyl takes like 2 years at this point.
And and then also our last song 17 on the album we like added later, which was a really cool kind of end to the album, and we just got to work on it more and put more thought into it and kind of release it with more, I guess, planning, which was nice.
And we had like a release show as well, which was important to us, like to be able to do something, you know, I know we're still in the pandemic, but like when things were better and people could actually go see music. And it was, I don't know, I've learned definitely in every step of the process, like creatively, that it always takes longer than you. We'll be in the studio and we'll be, in my mind, I'll be like, oh, this feels like it's almost done. Like we could totally finish it tomorrow or like in a week. And then, you know, a month later, we're still making small changes because you want to really be like proud of what you do. And also it's like the worst feeling to feel like you wish you changed something once it's out. Because once it's out, it's like, it's out of your hands, so you got to make all the changes when you can. Like we learned so much in every step of making that album, honestly. Like, you know, before we started recording Astronaut Kids, like we didn't even know like what a master was or even much of the recording process. Neither of us had been in a professional studio setting, so it's like we like to take our time in the studio.
We're
I think
perfectionists.
we are, and it's so worth it. Like, we listen pretty critically, and it might totally drive Tommy crazy, although I think he appreciates
and
it.
we also love like the production aspect of it too, so we're like, move this up like 1 dB or change this, like, and we're just in every aspect of our music.
We took like production classes in school, and that was also happening like while we were making the album, so it was cool to be able to like learn all about music production and then actually like make those changes in the studio and implement that understanding.
I think there's a really, because you touched on it a little bit, I think there's such a stereotype around musicians that they're just like these carefree, go with the flow people. And in my experience, that could not be more wrong. Is because every aspect, especially around your own music, has to be exactly how you want it in your head, or else you can't listen to it ever.
Yeah, that is very true.
Because we're, you know, like, we're all probably the most critical of ourselves, you know? So, like, it has to be exactly how you want it for it to come out. Otherwise, you know, the smallest thing is wrong, and it feels that much worse just because it's ourselves in our music.
And no one would ever hear it or know what it is. So, sometimes you got to give up some of the perfection, too, for the beauty of the song, too, which is something we've learned and been working on too.
Yeah, something I like heard that I always tell myself, like when we're close to being done, is like, art is never finished, it's abandoned. Because like no artist will ever totally feel like something's done, or like maybe reached its 100% full potential. So there's also definitely like power in knowing when it's done, or when it's abandoned, you know.
When to let go.
When to let go.
Yeah, that's I've never heard that before, but I like that a lot.
It's like limiting your ability to make new art too. So it's like figuring out to take it as far as you can and then moving on.
So I want to get into our next segment. That was very fun. So we're gonna go, it's called Behind That Track. We are going to break down the 9 songs of Soft Focus.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yes. So I'm gonna read a quote that Jade did, because I just think it's a really cool setup. Before I listened to the album, I was going through all the interviews before I listened to it in full. And you said, when you're painting a picture, you put your eyes into soft focus so that you can zone out and see the big picture instead of focusing on the details. That's sick.
Thank you.
That was like, because I had listened to it before I listened to the album in full, and just hearing that, I was like, oh. I get it now.
Yeah, soft focus was a really cool concept that me and Jess were kind of like talking about just in life, and I think about it a lot since we've recorded the album too, just how it's still very prevalent. And like every time I make art, I'm like, wow, I noticed my eyes soft focusing, and because I love to paint too, and every time like I feel kind of like dazed in life, I'm like, wow, I feel like everything is too much, you know, sometimes, and you just kind of like zone out. And then vice versa, when you're like too into something that you can't see the big picture, it's also hard. I don't know if that made any sense, but
I totally got that. I'm ADHD enough, I got every point.
Cool. We're on the same way.
Yes. So let's get into this, because you have 9 tracks, which like could not be more different, but I think that's the best thing about them.
Aw, thank you.
Yeah.
We do too.
Yeah, that's one of our favorite parts about that album. It's just that it's something for everyone.
Yeah.
I feel like we always want to make music that's like just exploring all different genres, you know?
Yeah.
All different types, I guess.
Totally.
That's the goal. So the first track, Astronaut Kids, the song that started it all. I hear the word nostalgia associated with that song the most. So like, what, you don't have to tell me every bit in detail what every lyric refers to when it comes to the song, but like the overarching theme, what every person listening should know about listening to that track.
Just that, like, I think you have a lot of dreams in life, I think, and not every one of them is going to come true, and that's okay, and that it really, at the end of the day, just matters who you're with and the people you surround yourself with, and that you, like, I guess, are happy knowing that you can do the most, or trying to do the most. Like in the song, like, it's kind of like, when I grow up, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, and it's like, we were not famous, but, you know, we have each other. And yeah, that's kind of what it's about, that it doesn't really matter really what you are.
That's lovely, and it's a good lesson for everyone, especially college kids, to know.
True.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can still, like, I don't know, when you grow up is such a vague term, like, you can still become something new when you're 80, you know? So like, maybe we will do all those things with our lives, and like, we keep growing up and becoming new things. So it's like, you don't lose hope just because, you know, especially in college, they make you feel like you have to decide exactly what you want to do forever.
Yeah.
Which I feel like can be difficult and is a misconception.
And I wrote it at like a time where I kind of felt like time was running out. I like was really unhappy with my major, and like kind of was thinking about from like the perspective of a kid, and just how like, man, I wanted to be so much, and now I'm just like 20 years old in college, and I just like am kind of sad about it all. Like, what else is there? I was like, you know what, it's fine, like, because we have people around us that we love. And because of that song, ironically enough, we were able to actually pursue our dreams. So, and not have to conform to society or whatever.
That's the universe giving it back to you, you know? It's nice.
Yeah. I can tell, beginning of freshman year Maddie, who thought she was really going to be a poli-sci major, that she's now a communications major.
We all went into college thinking we'd be something else.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Totally.
My parents still think I'm going to be a lawyer. We'll find out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So think twice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do I need to know?
So we wrote that about a boy that I went on a date on a date with. And I just came back, you know, like Jade and I tell each other everything, of course. And like, I came back literally instantly from the date, and I was like, man, I just like, everything felt, I really like this person, but everything felt like kind of weird, and it's like, you know, felt wrong even though it should be right, kind of thing. Like, it's like everything in my head, this makes sense, but I just like was kind of anxious about it, and was just like, I remember being upset to Jade and being like, oh, it just wasn't what I thought. And so came the song Think Twice, which is pretty lighthearted. Like, it wasn't a super deep thing.
Yeah, it was like a one date that went bad that we kind of like hyperbolized into this like funny story that was just like, I don't know. We're still friends with the guy that it's about, so it's really even more funny to us now.
And like, it is, and like, he found out later that it was about him, which was pretty funny. Like,
and now he like says that it's about him every chance he gets. So,
but I have a song about me, I'm that cool.
But really, I guess the message to listeners is that sometimes things might seem perfect on paper, somebody might seem like your type, but like, if you don't have a connection in like a romantic way or in any way, it might not be right. And you might lose your mind because they don't think twice or whatever.
I also like sometimes ask myself that, I'm like, bro, what's wrong? If everything's right, like, what's wrong, you know? So it's just kind of one of those.
And one of our roommates also helped write it.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember if they're credited on the song, but
they are on the record.
So that was pretty fun too, for them to like contribute some lyrics.
Yeah. It's great. Awesome.
All right, Daydrifter, the potential band name song.
Yes.
Is it really?
I love that as a band name, like the Daydrifters or Daydrifter.
The Daydrifters. I love it.
It would be cool.
I started the song when I was studying abroad in Italy, which is where we came up with the name Hotel Fiction. Yeah. And there's like this like guitar there that was really shitty, had one string missing, and so I like tuned it in open D, and it was the only way I could make it sound good and could only play like 2 strings to make it also sound good, and just like was playing that literally the whole summer, like the riff of Daydrifter, and was just kind of inspired by, I guess, also nomadic lifestyles, and it was just really sunny and happy. And then Jess came and visited, and like we worked on it for like a day, just like looking over Italy on this terrace, and it was just really magical. And I also 2 of my friends were like falling in love in Italy, and I was like watching them fall in love, and so it's kind of like a love story about them as well, which is really cool.
Ghost Train, which I think is my favorite track title.
Aww. Thanks for not calling it Ghost Town.
Some people have called it Ghost Town publicly.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I think Train is cooler. I do.
Yeah.
Thank you. I agree.
Agreed.
Ghost Train was like one of the songs that I wrote on the album like before me and Jess met, and was also kind of like a depressed sophomore me writing about wishing things were different. But yeah, I kind of felt, I guess, like I didn't really have a place in Athens at the time. Like everyone around me was in a sorority or was just kind of different, and I felt like I didn't really know what the music scene was like in Athens, and I was kind of unhappy with my major. And so I wrote that song kind of out of all that. It's just kind of, there was this train that would go off at like 3 a.m. just honking. That was, I don't know if trains honk, tooting, I don't know what they do.
Tooting.
Yeah. And I would like hear it at 3 a.m. Because I'm a night owl, and was just like, man, I just think about it and like where it was going. And so I envisioned myself riding away on it. And I wrote that song, and then shortly after met Jess and like our friends that were our best friends and still are throughout college. And we found the music scene, and it was like the first song I ever played for Jess when that day that we kind of wrote about, where we were like, we want to start a band.
Yeah.
And I was like,
and where our friend introduced us.
I was like, I'll play you guys these songs I have. And I played Ghost Train and Steady. And those were the 2 that I was like, that I actually liked, that I had written. And yeah, and then we recorded it with Tommy and went out west shortly after. Kind of.
Which was cool. We saw a lot of trains going out west. What do you think, like, main message?
Main message, just, I guess, I don't know. Also kind of just like that it's okay to feel down, I guess, and to kind of feel like you can escape into your own head, and like also kind of talking about, it's also kind of a love song, I guess, in the way that it's envisioning someone else being with you and getting away.
Yeah, and like that you can get away too, like if you need to, or get lost.
That's really cool. And again, I think it's one of those lessons that, especially since you wrote these songs in college, it's really good for college age people to learn that.
Really,
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we released that like as our full college album.
Yeah,
kind of have those ideas in it.
Yeah. All right, my favorite track on the album, Out of My Head.
Ooh.
Oh,
my favorite
I didn't know
one.
what you're doing. Are you going in track order? You are, aren't you?
I have it because the way that my screen is divided up is y'all are here, the track list is here, and my notes are here, so it all works.
Amazing.
Aw.
I love it.
Yeah, that one, the theme, it's kind of also like Unrequited Love vibes, like Think Twice. But that one's more like annoyance of it. It's like, I just, like, you're annoyed that you can't get this person out of your head and you wish that you could. And so it's kind of just like the overall theme or message that we want people to take away is what, Jessica?
Is that, well, really, to me, the song has like kind of come with a second meaning, just kind of like
totally
how Think Twice can too. Like where maybe it started off about something like sort of silly or like annoying, but I used to like, especially getting back into shows after COVID, was like kind of anxiety invoking for me because I hadn't like stopped playing shows consistently since I was like 11, and I was like, what if I forget everything on stage that I have ever known, or like what if people are judging me and us, and what if we fail? And I loved like the first few shows back starting with that song because it's like a reminder to get out of your own head. Like it's not even just like getting somebody else out of your head, it's like, why can't I get out of my own head about this? Because like we can all enjoy life a lot more if we get out of our own heads and if we like are more present. So these days that's kind of like the meaning I derive from the song. But that's what I like about music, is people can derive a lot of different meanings from it. So it could be about, you know, somebody you can't get out of your head that you want to leave, or your own thoughts.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost like a war with yourself because you're like overthinking things and you're like angry at yourself.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the person you're thinking about. And I think that I still like am reminded by that too if I'm thinking about somebody or overthinking things, and I'm just like chill and like breathe, get them out of your head, you know?
Right. It's like they're in this universe that we created in our heads. Like we're in control of our thoughts. Or as much as we try to be, we try to be in control of our thoughts. But yeah.
Steady.
I love this one.
Steady was also one that I wrote, like I said, before we met, and I wrote in high school. And it was kind of like when I was just starting to figure out like kind of how to play guitar, and I feel like the chords are kind of like don't really make any sense. And it's just kind of like sweet, I guess, because I was thinking about like my brother had just told me that his biggest fear was being alone, and I was just thinking about that and what it must be like and how people out there really are alone in life, and just how everyone just really wants friendship, and that's kind of what that's about.
That one's like one of my favorite messages on the album, I think, like especially because we released it, and of course like we're still in this time that's just like there's a lot of divisiveness politically that makes me just like a lot of political things going on make me very angry. And I like it's really easy for me to villainize people like that don't agree with my beliefs, and it's like a reminder that really at the end of the day like we all just want connections with people. That's even like why people believe certain things, is because they want to maintain connections and not be alone and like keep their social circles. And I think that's like a reminder of our humanity, that like we all are afraid of being alone and that we all like need people around us to lift us up.
Absolutely. Especially after COVID and everything.
Yeah.
That is a lesson that everyone has learned.
Oh yeah. And yeah, releasing it after COVID or during COVID to like gave it a whole new meaning. That's been cool with a lot of these songs, is to experience their new meanings.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot like one of the conversations I had with Gatlin. A lot of these artists that write these songs about like solitude, they completely shift their meanings after COVID, because her like biggest hit, Talking to Myself, was written and released pre-COVID. And
wow.
Like for me, that song was my COVID anthem of like me sitting here alone in my room, no one to talk to, no one's listening to me. And she goes, oh yeah, that's not what that was about at all. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
We were saying we want to listen to her interview. That sounds awesome.
I know.
I'm so curious.
It's on Spotify, it's on Google Podcasts, everywhere you listen to podcasts. The Sunshine Hour is here.
Incredible.
Shameless plug. I love it.
Not even shameless.
Yeah, it is cool. It's also like nice that art continues to have that new meaning, because we play these songs hundreds of times.
Yeah, we do.
So they gotta evolve in our brains.
And
somehow.
it's also kind of like you see some cycles within yourself where you feel the same things that you felt when writing these, and you're like, well, here we are again. At least this song I can now sing on stage and really feel it today because I'm going through this yet again. It's just kind of, it's cool that art is able to like continue to be there for you and for other people.
Golden Days. This song is so just like delicate. I was driving to it in my car and I'm like, I feel like I'm about to shatter. I should park.
I hope that's like, a good thing.
Yeah,
it's a very good thing. It's a very good thing.
That one like also has some very nostalgic vibes. That might be like even the most nostalgic song, up there with Astronaut Kids. I think
that's like one of our favorites on the album, and it's like the least, I guess, like appreciated, maybe the least.
It's your most underrated.
Yeah, it's the least listened to, at least.
It's in like both of our top threes, and it's like in probably listen to the bottom three, maybe.
Yeah, and it's just, I guess, it's like not very catchy. It's very goes into different places, but yeah, that was also kind of like the feeling of like running out of time and just missing the golden days, I guess.
Yeah, I like how, I don't know, I like a lot of those lyrics a lot. Those are some of my favorite too. But yeah, it's definitely purely nostalgic.
Yeah, it's interesting because like a lot of this album was written when we were like unhappy with the present moment of like being bogged down by school and like what the future was holding, and the golden days are kind of like high school to me, at least. Like falling in love for the first time, like no cares in the world, not really like stressed about the future and about making money and paying bills and cooking for yourself and all of this stuff that is hard to learn for the first time,
being independent.
But like now it feels like we've kind of like resurfaced into like a new golden days era,
college,
which is like post-college and like kind of just like touring and having a really great time just like doing what we love.
Yeah.
And so I feel like all this nostalgia from the album like
will hit again
later.
You're always nostalgic for the time you're in now, no matter how old you are. Like even the golden days are like college for us in a lot of ways now, when like that wasn't the case.
It's true.
When we were writing it. So yeah, these will be the golden days. But we don't play that one live very much, and I wish we did.
I know.
Bring it back.
We should play.
Put it back on the set list.
Yeah. If you're reading the concert review, I'm pretty sure that's the one where Dylan's like, surprisingly, they only played 4 songs off of their album because we have a lot of new songs that we get really excited about. But I missed that one.
I think that's really funny, the idea of like we romanticize every time in our life once we're out of it. Yeah, because there are people who are even like, I keep going back to COVID just because there are people who are romanticizing quarantine.
It was kind of a unique time. I romanticize it.
I wasn't expected to be anywhere or to do anything. I was socially allowed to do nothing and sit in my room and watch Netflix.
Yes.
And that was a very rare time.
And we would just like rollerblade and skate on like parking decks because we couldn't hang out with anyone. And it's like
we're like kids again. It was taking lots of silly walks, listening to music. Certain songs like take me back to those first like 2 months of quarantine.
It was like kind
TikTok
of like
sounds.
The first month of quarantine, while it was so much anxiety going on. It was like, wow, we get to like step back for a second and like pause life, and it was kind of nice. And then of course months and months went on and it was still like that, and it got old. But the first few months of quarantine were kind of romanticized in that way.
Yeah.
All right, title track, Soft Focus, has the coolest tone change in it.
Oh,
it just, you start like the first like minute and a half being like, oh, this is great, and then it smacks you in the face, totally different, and it's epic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That means a lot. Yeah, we kind of already touched on Soft Focus and like what it means to us, just the concept of it. But that song was kind of also just us being lighthearted in our lyrics and like having fun.
Yeah. Thinking about like what's like a mundane thing that makes your day really bad, or like remembering that global warming exists.
Yeah.
Or your roommate drinking
mundane thing, global warming.
Well, you know.
Yeah, but just also like the idea that like you can like freak out about there not being any milk in the morning, and then also like turn on the news and the world is ending, and you're just like, there's just that, I guess, give and take of like these like tiny problems and big problems that just weigh on you every day. Yeah. And that's kind of why it's hard to like know what to focus on. And then the chorus of the song is kind of just like, it happens to all of us.
Yeah, like the smallest, silliest things can make you as mad as like the world ending, and just like putting it in perspective is helpful.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, even just putting life in perspective and how we're all not here forever is helpful, like when you get upset about silly things.
Yeah.
But the world ending is not a silly thing.
No,
that is very grave.
It is very grave.
Important, but it puts it in perspective.
And then the whole ending of the song is kind of just like an outro, which was kind of, we thought it was going to be the end of the album at first before we added 17, and we like had melodic riffs from every song in the outro. And it's like the very end of that just feels like the whole album is like nostalgic now, because we recorded it all through a time in our lives over the past 2 years of college.
Yeah, that might be my favorite part of the album, where we like, and I don't think a lot of people notice it actually, because we tried to make it pretty subtle, but there's like riffs from almost every single song like at the end of Soft Focus, and it like, for us, feels like we're just watching back a movie of making the album, which is really cool.
That's, I didn't reckon, you're right, I didn't realize that, but that is such a cool feature.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's like the ooze from Ghost Trainer in there. Different stuff.
It was like inspired with that by the ending of Jon Bellion's album. I don't know if you know who he is, but
I know Jon Bellion.
Yeah, his album The Human Condition, he does that, but like also in a much more we all know what's going on kind of way. But I always thought that was like the coolest ending of an album I've ever heard.
And same with Billie Eilish's album. She like did that same thing at the very end, and she'd like just released her album. What is it? Bury a Friend? I don't remember.
That one though. Yeah. The one that's
When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just watching a Billie interview. That's why I know that.
Wow. So cool.
She is really cool, and that album was a huge inspiration for ours as well.
Very different tones, but I can see.
Totally,
yeah. Like the pastels, dreamy, and then like haunting darkness.
Yeah.
But I can see it.
How like as an artist you can get inspiration from an artist, and just like what you end up making with that inspiration is completely different,
which is a good thing.
It is a good thing. Yeah,
that's why we all don't make the same album, which is good.
But it's
if
cool
all the music was cookie cutter.
And, yeah, even Harry Styles was saying how like Billie Eilish inspired his album that he just released, and I was like, I don't like, it's so different, but that's cool that he was able to take inspiration from it.
Yeah. All right, 17, closing track, the newest edition. Go for it.
Yeah. So that song was written not over quarantine, actually. I thought it was for a while because we said it was so many times. It was just finished over quarantine. Like there's a couple of lyric gaps that we put in to like make it more prevalent, but that was also kind of just me being sad about missing the past and kind of missing like the person I used to be too. I feel like it's really easy to look back at pictures of yourself or like memories and be like, wow, I was this person then, like why am I this now? And I kind of wrote that about missing that person and that I was when I was 17. And then the pandemic happened and I kind of scrapped it. I thought it was like a cheesy song and I played it for her and she was like, that was actually like really meaningful. It gave me like same feeling that Astronaut Kids does. And we like added in the lyric about missing shows because we were missing shows in the pandemic. And yeah, also just like life changing around you and not changing at the same time, and just feeling stagnant. And yeah, so it's a very sad song, I guess. And we thought for a second that we were gonna like trade out some of Soft Focus that we didn't like and like put in 17 because they're the same chords and the same structure, and that's why we originally brought it back. And our producer Tommy was like, no, this whole song has to be in it, and so does the whole song Soft Focus. And we were like, okay, fair. And he was like, and it should just be like just how you played it just then. And then we recorded it within like a day and put it on the end of the album, and that was that.
And that's also like what turned kind of like the album into a full album instead of an EP, because we were thinking like maybe this is an EP, there's not that many songs, and like it was kind of just what I needed. And Tommy like was able to see that too, that like really? It just like it definitely finished it as an album too, like having a sad song, and I don't know, it's very meaningful.
And I think it's a really good closer too, because it has the same sort of themes as Astronaut Kid, like you said, but a very different tone.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah.
And like that was I mean, of course, I'm sure you know, like track listing is like something you talk about so much, because like a lot of people will just listen to Astronaut Kids or one song, but like for people that listen to the whole album, we really wanted it to like flow and the ideas to fit well, and like to be able to zoom out and see a full picture. And I thought it was really cool like ending on that note and starting with the Astronaut Kids.
So wait, you mean you wanted them to look at the album in soft
focus?
Oh,
you got it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I know a lot of people do listen to it like that, but I'm so excited to get vinyl because that means people will have to listen to the album in order. And I just love how like the end of Soft Focus trails off into 17. It kind of is like this final word and like thought. And so like that'll be really cool on vinyl. I'm excited.
That is Soft Focus behind every track. This is my most favorite question to ask songwriters and musicians. What do you consider your creative process?
Ooh, I feel like
so different.
Yeah, it's very different, depending on the song, depending on, you know, I guess, yeah, what we're feeling that day.
Yeah.
But overall, I'd say it's kind of like starting with an idea of a song or chords to a song. And it's kind of like, I feel like there's kind of two realms we either attack it from, where it's like we have this idea and we want to write a song about it, which happens less often, I'd say, just because it's like easier to just like sit down and start playing chords and then start writing lyrics. But then there's also songs that lyrics come first and the melodies come first before you even like pick up an instrument. But it's really up to the song, I'd say.
It is.
Not really us.
And like, I never understand how people can also like do it the same way every time, because I feel like inspiration comes from a lot of different places. And I like about how we do things is like no song really starts the same way. It all like I don't know, one like you started in Italy on a broken guitar, like another one we like sat down to write an idea, you know, and
or like we would start with the end of a song and then write the beginning later.
Yeah, like with Think Twice, we started with the ending, the outro. So like, I guess in way soft focus zoom out terms, like inspired by the world and our experiences, inspired by like music and chords and other artists. And then turn it into something else, I guess.
It's a loaded question, but for some people, like songwriting is like sacred. Like you go in a dark corner, you have the ideas planned out in your journal, and you only do it in the studio or under the cover of darkness. But from what you've told me, I don't feel like that's the same thing for you.
Yeah, no. It's really fun to be flexible. Like, you know, we like when we went away to that cabin before COVID, like we're writing there, like being able to do it in multiple places or with multiple like different beginnings.
Yeah, and you never really know when like inspiration is gonna come and like hit you, and you just have to like ride that wave wherever you are and whatever you're feeling. Like I wrote a song that we play live now in class, and it just like all the words just came to me, and like all the melodies came to me like while the teacher was talking, and I just like zoned out and like was writing them all. And yeah, I feel like if we like planned to be in a dark corner and to write every time, it wouldn't happen as much maybe, or it wouldn't be the same.
And sometimes if we like schedule it and we're like we're gonna write, like one day nothing comes, and then one day it's like the most random thing happening, and it does. So can't plan it.
Yeah, it's inspiration is the weirdest thing in the world. It never comes when you want it to.
Totally. Yeah.
And when you try to force it out, it sounds like crap.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. It's my least favorite.
Really. Yeah. What's your creative process?
Oh, see, I am very much a lyrics person. I am a very write as I go. Like I have a very similar process, but I have to be like in my head has to go, okay, we're ready now. So I stop what I'm doing. I go to my room, I sit down, and I start playing chords on my chords on my guitar, and I'm like, okay, we found it. So I found one chord, then I have to find a progression, and then once I found the progression that I like, I start my voice memos app, and I just start singing, and whatever comes out, I go back and fix it 8 times.
Yes. Voice memos are crucial. That's a big, we'd never remember anything.
Yeah, and it's funny because like with Caitlin Cantrell, she writes everything down. She doesn't like it on her phone. I am a very like, I don't have the time to write it down. I get it out of my system before it goes away, and then I go back and revisit it when I have the time.
Yeah, I've tried the whole like have a songwriting journal and write it all down there, and I lose the journal like every time. And then I'm like, sit down at the piano, I'm in a different house, I want to play this song that's in my journal in a different house, and I'm like, I don't remember what it is.
What do you always have with you? Your phone?
Yeah, it's just more.
We're like mostly notes and memos people, but I do wish it was like writing in a journal is so much more romantic, you know?
Yeah. I have my baby here. This is my lovely songwriting journal.
That's a Gatlin sticker.
I have all the Gatlin stickers.
Who's the girl? Is that Taylor Swift or is that?
It is, of course, it's Taylor Swift.
Oh gosh. Amazing.
I have 2 Taylor Swift stickers, but I have all my music stickers on the front. But yeah, I have this whole like, oh god, I just filled all kinds of photo booth photos out. I had this whole like romantic notion of like all of my songs in this journal. There are 9. I have written easy over 300 songs. There are 9.
Wow. At least you got 9 in there.
It's true.
And they're not the fleshed out versions either.
That's funny.
Yeah, but I think it's so funny because some people are like, this is their make or break. My favorite thing is I listen to a Maggie Rogers podcast. I love Maggie Rogers.
Wait, did you listen to her Song Exploder? Is that what you're talking about? Or
no, I listened to her Difficult Artist episode with Lizzie Goodman. My favorite podcast. So good.
Oh my god. Okay, yes.
Go listen to it. The Maggie Rogers episode is my favorite. I've listened to it 8 times because they actually know each other. So it's so like having a conversation with a friend, and that's it just but like her process is very much, she has a Moleskine black notebook. This is a Moleskine black notebook. And a G9 pen, like a Pilot pen. And that is her creative process. She goes into her little homemade studio and she writes. I cannot do that.
Mm-hmm. That's so interesting.
That is. I have one of those black Moleskine notebooks.
And then we were watching the Beatles documentary, and I think they said it here or they said it somewhere else that I heard, but they went by the notion that if they don't remember the words and they don't remember the melody, the next day it wasn't a good enough song, because they didn't have phones, voice memos back then.
Like they could have recorded it, but it would have been a pain, you know.
It's like Beatles songs that they wrote and just forgot that were really good,
and they were like, "Oh, just not it."
Yeah.
That is my favorite question, because people get like so specific about their creative process, or they're like, it happens and I listen. Okay, so we talked about your creative process. We talked about Soft Focus. You guys have been on tour for like ever, in the best way possible.
This is true.
Yes.
Yeah, I was supposed to see you guys like a couple months ago.
No way. Where?
I was so mad. I think it was in Athens.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so mad because my family just moved to Grovetown. So I was like, I'm not far. I can go. And then I didn't.
Dang, that was such a fun show.
But y'all are coming to Orlando now.
We are. We just announced it. Did you see?
I did. So I will be at that show.
Yay! Excited to see you there. Wow.
Yes.
So exciting.
Yeah. So life on tour, what has that been like?
Oh man.
So fun.
so
chaotic.
Fun. So just, yeah, it's been like the craziest life I could have ever imagined to have.
I know. It's just driving our van around, like experiencing life with our best friends.
We bought a van. It's our pride and joy.
Her name is Maggie.
I was gonna ask if it had a name.
Yeah.
Maggie
May is our van. And like we've also just like even gotten so much better at playing these songs by playing. I think last year we played like 40 shows. Oh wait. We played like 40 shows and it was so awesome. It's like where I feel the most alive is being on stage.
Same.
And it's such a good feeling, and like it's unbelievable that, you know, through opening for other bands or even through like our own shows, people actually want to come and like listen to our music.
Yeah, it's been the most like rewarding thing ever to go to random cities across the country and see people that like our songs have touched.
It's so cool.
Like know who we are and like our music, and just like to be able to sing those songs for people and just like, I don't know, have that experience together with people that have heard the songs is just like the most magical thing ever.
It is. It's like what we always dreamed of doing, or at least like since I was a kid, I always wanted to be in a van or a bus or anywhere and go on tour.
Yeah. And I feel like it was a really hard adjustment at first, like getting used to touring, because it's like not easy. It's like you're sleeping on floors or couches. You don't really have any schedule, which like after being in school for like our whole lives, all of a sudden like not having any schedule and like having to figure it out like the day before of where we're staying that night, and like not being able to eat and cook consistently and just having to like eat gas station food and fast food.
Yeah,
it was hard on like our bodies. We got sick a lot,
but we've been learning how to like take care of ourselves on tour, like finding fun ways to do it. And our bass player Lucas brings a lot of healthy snacks now, and we've found a lot of beds to stay in instead of floors. We've been upgrading, even hotels sometimes.
What is this rock star life you're living?
I know. When we get a hotel, it's like, this is a crazy night.
Hotel fiction's in the hotel. Let's go.
Yeah. It's been, and now it feels like weird to not be on tour. And like weird to have, I don't know, it just feels like something's missing. So we've adjusted so far that it's like, what are we doing if we're not on tour?
Like touring has like pretty much become our home this year, because we didn't have a home, like because we were on tour so much, we like weren't paying rent anywhere, and it like became our home away from home, and like the van became where we were most comfortable in. And yeah, it's really awesome. We're playing more shows tomorrow for the first time in a while.
So yeah, we had like a couple weeks off.
We have a show tomorrow and one the next day, and I'm really excited to get back into it.
Yeah, getting back into it. The really important thing, what does self-care look like on tour, especially when you're in a van, especially when you're singing back-to-back nights, like taking care of yourself, taking care of your voice, taking care of your fingers? What does that look like?
We do a lot of things. I mean, first of all, trying to get enough sleep is one. Like I have always like been a social butterfly, and a lot of times people like invite us out after the show or this and that, but if we have to get up early the next day, usually we're like, okay, we need to go to bed. We do vocal warm-ups, like that's another big one. Or even like when you're at the gas station, not always getting the Coke slushie for me is one. Or like it's self-care for me to go to Starbucks every day sometimes, because
it's the little things.
It's like our home away from home is also Starbucks.
We've like learned the healthy things to get at Starbucks. You get the oats. At Taco Bell you get like the vegan wrap or whatever. It's like there's different healthy things you can get.
Yeah, the oats at Starbucks are the move for breakfast.
The oats, blueberry oats with oat milk. It's so good. But we also have like, it's kind of extra, but we have like our skincare routine that we do, sometimes forget, but we have like our makeup routine that we do in the van before shows, our vocal warm-ups.
I feel like we always have to check in with each other too. Like that's a big thing. Is like if you're on tour, you're with a lot of people all the time. Like you're literally always with people. You get no alone time. So it's good to like check in with each other and be like, how are you doing? Like what?
It's like college.
Yeah, exactly. It's like living in a dorm or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, I don't know. We do have our like pre-show routine, which is where we both get in the van and we talk it out and do our makeup and do vocal warm-ups, and I feel like that is integral to my self-care, because when it doesn't happen, it feels like not as good playing a show usually.
Yeah, it's like we're not as in tune with each other live if we don't have that like time to just kind of like zone out and zone in beforehand.
Exactly. And like I used to think it was kind of like diva-y for us to go off into the van and like, oh sorry, we need our time, we need to go like do makeup. But I realize now that it's like it's very important for us. So yeah.
That was the thing that I read in the concert review that I thought was really cool. They talk about how you have like people behind like other than you two that switch around, but it always manages to stay on sync on stage, in sync on stage.
Yeah, it's interesting like having so many different of our best friends like in Athens that just play music and can hop in when different people are, you know, out doing other music things, because everyone kind of has their own projects here, and so everyone kind of is doing their own things sometimes. And we're just like, whoever wants to play with us whenever, like come hang. We don't, you know, we want to make it fun, and it's just like it keeps it really interesting to play with different people all the time. It's like really exciting and makes the vibe different on stage, and it's like a conversation with other people, you know, that you're having through music, and it makes it interesting.
Yeah, and it was like one thing we took a lot of time to do this year was teach like 3 different drummers and like 5 different bass players our music, so that we could kind of keep it flexible for everyone and like get to mix it up. And now it's really nice because everyone knows it, so we don't feel like, oh shoot, we're playing this show, we need to teach someone all the songs, and they can just hop on whatever.
And now we're kind of honing into like a set band that is like has kind of told us like, we're really passionate about it, we want to be the person that's there every time, which is cool.
Yeah,
also
that's been nice to like, with a few people we play with super often, to get more deep into the music, because they just have like a really deep understanding of the songs like we do, and so we can make, you know, more changes, and I think that that's also really rewarding. So now it's turning into like, these are the people that play with us most, if not all of the time, unless we need a substitute or something, and that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, and especially when it comes to playing your music with you, someone that is passionate about it and didn't write it, like, that's cool.
It really is cool. And like a lot of them bring new ideas to it, like of things that we can do live, and that's also really cool. We actually just like recently recorded one of our new songs with a full band, which was an awesome experience because we'd been playing it live with mostly the same people, and so they came into the studio and got to like add some ideas as well.
That's dope. Yeah, you all have been all over the place. I watched a couple of your Sugar Shack sessions in Bonita, Florida, baby. Let's go.
It's like very South Florida, right? Is that true? Forever to get there.
And everyone's like, it's so hard to get down south when you're touring in Florida. I'm like, y'all are still staying north. There are people down in the pits and creeks that don't even know there's music.
Oh my gosh.
I watched a bunch of the sessions. I think it's funny you're wearing a Beatles shirt because the Something cover was so good.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I was gonna say we just played it at our friend's wedding.
We did.
It was her and her husband's now first dance song, and we like played it live acoustic, and it was so magical and sweet.
I know. That song was really fun to learn and play. We've been thinking about doing it live too, because we've never really done it like at a show.
I'm just saying, Orlando. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just gonna say it.
Okay. We hear you, and that's in August. We can probably make that happen.
Yeah, we can totally make that happen. Someone did that in Gainesville. They were like, please play Steady. It's my favorite song. And we did. And it was awesome because we sometimes don't play that song enough. So it was cool to play it again. So if anyone requests stuff, we will play it.
I'm requesting Golden Days. I'm requesting Steady. I'm making my request.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. It's my favorite segment of every episode. We are gonna play First Date with your new favorite artist.
Whoa.
Okay. So I have a bunch of questions that sometimes would come up on a first date with your new favorite artist. You know, the questions you've always wanted to know. So we're gonna do it quickly. You both get to answer, and we are gonna speed date, and everyone's gonna fall in love with you and listen to your music, and you're gonna be famous, and it'll be great.
Beautiful. We're ready.
All the good.
I don't know if I said that fast enough. All right. Go-to karaoke song.
Oh my
gosh.
Mamma Mia soundtrack.
Wait, what is it? Dancing Queen.
Dancing Queen.
Yeah.
I think that's a unanimous answer. All of the Mamma Mia soundtrack, actually.
Yeah.
Voulez-vous? Let's go.
Yes.
What artist got you into music, made you want to become a musician?
AC/DC.
The Beatles.
Yeah. I can see both of those answers in your music completely. So I love that. Do you consider yourself a songwriter or a performer?
Both?
That was in unison. Oh my god.
Definitely both.
Yeah, for sure.
What song do you wish you wrote?
Oh my god, so many. Honestly, Something by the Beatles.
I know, that's what I was
there.
thinking too. Something by the Beatles.
Man.
Changes by David Bowie. Any David Bowie song. Heroes by David Bowie.
The Chain.
By Fleetwood Mac, yeah.
Life on Mars by David Bowie.
Yeah. Any Fleetwood Mac song.
All these things that I've done by the Killers.
Oh, true.
Are there any milestones that you're currently working towards?
Touring out west, world tour
West.
would be sick. Album 2,
being able to not have side hustles and like do this fully full time.
Yeah, never getting real jobs.
Who says this isn't a real job?
You're right, this is a real job. You're so right.
Those are just some of them. There's plenty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my last one, what do you wish you knew before you started all of this, before there was a Hotel Fiction?
Whoa.
I wish I knew that, like, if something becomes your everyday and you put a lot of time into it, like, you're going to have bad days with it, and also like anxious times and bad times. Because I feel like before we did this fully all the time, music was just like an outlet for me that I went to when I needed to feel better, like meditate. It was very meditative, and it still is, but like when something becomes, I feel like at first when we'd have bad days or something would go wrong, I'd be like, this isn't right, this isn't like what music is supposed to be, because it's supposed to be this like outlet and purely happy thing. But I guess like I've realized that anything you do every day, you're gonna have bad days. Like, we're gonna have a bad show, but that's like part of the joy and privilege of playing music, is to get to even have bad shows, because you are playing shows. But it definitely was like a little confusing for me at first.
Yeah, or just like how good it was gonna get too.
True.
Because like I also kind of had, like, I would get really down on myself if a show didn't go perfect at the beginning, and I'd be like, oh, like I'm so mad, like why am I even trying? And like I feel like it's like, this is why we tried, you know, like, because it's going really well and we're still able to do this, and like it's great. And I wish I could have known that it would be great, even though maybe that makes it even better, that it feels like more special and more kind of mind-blowing that it's happening as it is.
And now everyone loves you, and it's great. Yeah.
Love it.
You've been playing in shows, you've been getting to share this amazing music that you wrote. What's next, you know? When do we get new music? I'm waiting, counting days.
We are working in the studio right now on another EP, project, record, we'll see. But we're really excited about it. It's some of our favorite songs we've ever made. And some of them are done, waiting to be released.
Which is hard.
But we want to make a music video, and we want to take our time with it.
Yes.
And we want to like really dive deep into the art of it too. So we're working on it though, and we're really excited for it to come out for people to hear, because it's a lot of the songs we've been playing live on tour this whole year, and so a lot of people have been asking about them, and just creating more too, writing more, working on even more music.
Always more to come.
Can you give me a color of what this new project is? Like, what color is it?
Red.
Yes. It's our red era.
It is our red era.
Everyone's in the red era.
I know Harry Styles is in his red era, and I'm like, bro, we planned this, and now you're red. We're red. Okay. No, it's fine.
We're red first, maybe. I don't know. He probably did a lot.
He probably also, yeah, it's true.
Harry's House was 1989, and you can't tell me different.
Ooh, interesting.
I see it.
Yeah. Oh. But yeah, that is all of the questions that I have for you. Thank you all so much for joining me. This has been so fun. Thank you for answering all my questions and sharing your stories and your amazing music. Be sure to follow Hotel Fiction and Jade and Jessica on Instagram. I will have it in the bio. And on Instagram, follow us on Instagram, the Sunshine Hour Pod, and listen to us everywhere you listen to podcasts, Apple, Google, especially Spotify. And a big thank you to you guys for joining us today. It's been so fun.
Thank you. It was so fun talking to you and talking about music. Thanks for having us.
Yes.